up. We're talking about the differences between marijuana and hemp because there is a discrepancy and people don't understand the difference. So, to begin, there's this cool book called The Gospel of Hemp. It is $2. It is an ebook. I suggest you check it out. It's pretty cool. The gospel means the good news, and that's because this is the good news. Hemp can literally save our planet. The way that we are using our resources right now is so unsustainable. In the next 100 years, we're going to run out of everything, including coal, which is our most abundant resource at the moment. So honestly, we need to change because the way that we're going at it right now, we are just so unsustainable. And if the entire world lived the same way that Americans do, as far as consumption goes, in every category, honestly, like not just restricted to fuels, but we would need 7 Earths to support everyone. And that's just growing because we're getting millions of people more in the next 10 years. So honestly, we really need to evolve.
Yeah.
We'll say it straight up. So with that said, what is the difference between hemp and marijuana? Well, hemp essentially is a female plant, and marijuana is a male plant. So hemp you can eat, and it will not have any psychoactive effects on you at all. There is THC in some strains of hemp. However, it's so insignificantly small. I learned this in one of my classes, that you would need 7 dump trucks full of hemp to actually have a psychoactive effect on you. And by that time, you wouldn't be able to consume it in any way. So therefore, it would not actually have an effect on you psychoactively. So hemp, you can safely eat it. It has a nutritional profile of all the 9 essential amino acids that you need. It has omega-3s, omega-6s. It has obviously oil that's really healthy for your heart and for your brain. And it's just a great, really whole nutrition source for so many different things. Especially if you're vegetarian or vegan, this is a great way to get a lot of nutrients just in one little seed. So the short answer is, what's the difference between cannabis and hemp? Psychoactively, it's the way that you use them and the way that you consume them. So if you're eating it versus if you're using it like in your clothing, or if you're inhaling it versus like using it as a biofuel or whatever. We're going to go into more about that. The long answer would be cannabis is used namely as, I wrote this incorrectly. Hemp is used, the stalk. The stalk is for textiles, foods, papers, body care products, detergents, plastics, and building materials. The term marijuana refers to medicinal, recreational, or spiritual use involving smoking or cannabis flowers. Industrial hemp contains only about 0.3% to 1.5% THC content, which obviously is not a lot. Whereas if you're consuming marijuana, that's going to have at least 5% to about 15 or 13%, depending on what strain it is. So there's a vast difference, and they're completely different. Then, as far as identifying them, I find it kind of funny that humans and cannabis are quite equal in this. The male plants have little balls, and the female plants have longer hairs. So typically, that's how you identify males and female humans too. So there you go. The psychoactive chemicals, we've already talked about this, and they include THC and CBDs. Well, CBDs are actually not psychoactive, and we'll go into that in a minute, but THC stands for delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. It's kind of a mouthful.
A little, yeah.
Yes. And then this is the product in when you smoke or when you eat it. It causes the relaxation. It reduces your coordination, which is obviously a symptom that people definitely tell all the time when they're trying to convince people that it's a bad thing to ingest or to take anyway. It reduces your blood pressure and actually pressure in a lot of different organ systems, including the eyes, like for glaucoma. It induces sleepiness, it disrupts the attention, it can alter your sense of time and space, and in high doses it can cause hallucinations, delusions, and impaired memory, or disorientation. However, if you were consuming a strain that is pretty much devoid of all THC content and has just the CBDs, then that is when it becomes a completely different plant, honestly, because it can help stop the growth of cancers. And we discussed this a little bit earlier, but it actually, in all the parts of the cell cycle, it inhibits the growth. There are certain CBDs that affect the cycle. So no matter what cancer cell it is, it will have an effect, which I find very, very interesting. And that's part of why we keep studying it, because it's so effective on pretty much every single kind of cancer out there. It is not psychoactive. It can have as well a sedative or calming effect, and it is also great for those with insomnia because it helps you chill out and go to sleep. Hemp is the miracle plant of our time. It produces 4 times the carbon. It consumes the 4 times the carbon dioxide that trees do, and pretty much any plant out there, aside from algae, which is the #1 producer of oxygen on our planet. It matures in 12 to 14 weeks, depends on which strain we're talking about, but about 4 months we're talking, it matures. Trees take about 20 years, which is obviously a huge difference, and this is a huge reason why we need to use it to industrialize not only the US, but everyone else, because it will help our global climate change issues. It will help so many industrializing countries just to get like a higher degree of everything as far as business and as far as health, everything is concerned. As well, we are destroying our forests 3 times faster than what we can grow. So that is clearly unsustainable. But 1 acre of hemp produces as much cellulose fiber and pulp as 1.4 acres of trees. So that's pretty significant. Currently, it is not available to grow in most states other than Colorado, California, and Washington.
Kentucky, too.
And Kentucky. That is very recent. I did not know that. Only hemp. So you can grow it in Canada. You can grow it, as far as I know, legally in Mexico, although they've gotten nabbed several times. But I think that was just because they were trading with the US. But it was actually illegal not to grow it in the 1700s and 1800s because of what an amazing resource it is. It was grown by Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and other founding fathers. It was also printed, our first money was printed on hemp, and our flag used hemp fibers, which is really cool. So our country is based off of hemp, and I have no idea why we decided that it was a horrible drug, but I took a drug class last semester actually, and in my textbook it said, this is like a quote right here, that it made Mexicans stupider. This is from a senator too, and so it therefore needs to be illegal. Yeah. Which I don't find a very suitable reason to. No, there wasn't even evidence to support that necessarily, and so for a bunch of political reasons as well, it became illegalized. Although there are so many benefits, and I don't know if you can see that picture very well, but there's paper products, textiles, plastics, body care products, construction, livestock, food, fuel. We're going to go into more essential oils and medicines, as well as you can eat it. Like every single part of this plant is fantastic for our environment and for our bodies. So now we're going to go more into these. So building materials, hempcrete. You guys have probably never heard of that because it's been illegal, but it is actually, it can be, it will not deteriorate for thousands of years, as far as we can tell. Yeah, which is very, very, very significant because normal concrete will deteriorate within like 100 or 200 years. It's not very durable at all. And that is because it sets very quickly. It dries out completely in about like a few years. It's just completely dry. But hempcrete will take like 50 or so years to completely dry out, which is like, is it an extended life? And it also helps it make, to become earthquake proof because it's not so rigid. It can like move with the fluctuations of the earth. And so that's a huge factor of why we should start building with this. And there are lots of homes actually, and I can show you after, it's not on this specific presentation, but there are a lot of homes that are being built with it. And it's not really that noticeable. It's not like it has to be super modern home or something. It's just straight up concrete made with these fibers. As well, fiberglass and fiberboard can be replaced with hemp materials instead of the dangerous things that have been put in them before that are very toxic and very hard on your lungs if you inhale them. As well, it can be an excellent insulator in homes. Cars. The first Model T car in the 30s was actually made entirely out of hemp, almost entirely. It was soy mixed with hemp. So that's amazing. So that includes plastic, that includes vinyl, that includes, I don't know about the tires actually, that's the one thing I'm pretty sure they're just how they are now. But the entire car was hemp plastic, which is actually 10 times stronger than steel, 10 times stronger and more durable. So I watched a video of this guy taking a hammer to his car and he was like, yep, it's not gonna break. And it's just crazy, and I can show you more in a minute, but the entire thing was run off of hemp as well. So it was just self-sustainable and it was just very bio-friendly. So here's a little video of that.
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw. The plastic was lighter than steel, yet could withstand
It's like not denting at all.
impact without denting.
Can you imagine the gas mileage you get with
Right?
that light of a vehicle?
Exactly. And I'm going to show you one. You've heard of the Lotus, right? There's a car in Europe called the Lotus. It's made out of, like, it's this exact same thing. It's just a newer model. But yeah, it gets excellent gas mileage. It's run on hemp. It's very expensive to manufacture as well as to buy. But, I mean, the fact that we even have that as an option is outstanding to me. Let's go back to this. Okay, then there's also this video, which I can show if you guys want. It's kind of longer, that's like 6 minutes, so maybe we can come back to that. But it just talks about like fiberglass and about the things I previously mentioned and how hemp can replace those or supplement them so they're not as dangerous. Okay, hemp as a biofuel. So we already know that we can use vegetable oil or like any kind of oil out there, honestly, as long as we we have to change some components about it. And obviously we have to grow it, which is a concern because we're trying to conserve land, and like the places that you would be able to grow it, you're gonna want to populate it with people, such as California. That's like one of the most optimal places to grow. But we have so many people there that it's just not feasible because no one wants to live. Everyone's living on the arable land, basically. So that is a concern. However, the basics come down to if you have the seed, you can make it, or if you have the stock, you can make it. So either one can make ethanol or methanol or a biodiesel fuel. So pretty cool. And it's so sustainable, right? Like 4 months and it's completely matured. That's insane. So there's also, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, but there's an island of plastic and just junk that has been tossed into the ocean from over the years since we've been manufacturing plastics and just everything that we don't know what to do with, honestly. And it has collated into this massive island twice the size of Texas, and it's just swirling around in the ocean right now. And you can see it on Google Earth if you look it up. It's disgusting, actually. It makes you want to cry. But with that knowledge and with the fact that that's not going to biodegrade for hundreds of years, we can make hemp plastic that is 100% biodegradable. We're actually working on several other ways to make plastic, and one of them is through bananas, like the starches in bananas. We throw away millions of banana peels every day, and if we had a way to recycle that and take the starch out of it and just reuse it, we could make plastic out of it that biodegrades in a year. So for things that we know we're going to sell very rapidly, this is a great solution.